Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. We are back in the office today and I'm going to be answering all of your questions about blogging. I love talking about blogging, so I'm very excited for today's video and I can't wait to get into it. So I'm going to go and make myself look presentable and I'll be back. So the other day I received an email from a reader and I have sat down so many times to reply to that email, and there was a lot of questions in there and I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna make it into a video. So that's exactly what I'm going to do today. And now it's about to start raining really hard. So if you can't hear me, I'm sorry. The lighting changes, I'm sorry, but we're in the middle of a massive drought at the moment. So this rain is very, very much appreciated. Okay, so I'm gonna read the email out to you so that you know exactly what it was, and then I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna actually answer all the questions. So the email is from Casey and she writes, "Hi Crystal, I'm sure you are a very busy person and I don't want to take up too much of your time. I'm happy to answer all emails, so feel free to send me emails. I really like your content and the way you laid out your design. I was just reading through your blog and since I'm trying to start my own, I had a couple of questions for you. If you have a moment and would like to offer advice, that would be much appreciated. I'm struggling with the setup of my blog on WordPress. Did you have someone design your layout or did you take a web design class? Any classes that were really helpful? When did you start your blog and has it been profitable? I work full-time and I have 2 kids and a hubby and I struggle to find the time to put into my blog. So I was wondering if you feel like all the time you have put into your blog has been financially profitable. Did you ever take any online courses, and if so, are there any you would recommend? Thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it and your blog. Best of luck to you, Casey." Casey, thank you so much for your email. I love answering blogging questions, and so that's exactly what I'm gonna do right now. All right, I'm gonna get comfy. That's better. Because I'm gonna knock everything over in the meantime, but I'm gonna get comfy because I really love chatting about this stuff and I think it is a great conversation to have. So I'm just gonna start from the start of Casey's email and I'm gonna work my way through. So the first thing that she asked is if I use WordPress. When I started out, I really didn't have any idea. I do use WordPress. I use WordPress on all of my sites. When I first started, I started with Blogger and I used the free, I think there is only a free version of Blogger, but I started with Blogger and I spent literally hours and hours and hours and hours trying to figure out how to work it out. I mean, it was very simple, but I wanted my website to look a certain way, and for it to look a certain way on Blogger, you had to go in and change all of the code and make it all your own, and I just spent hours and hours and hours trying to do that. I remember I got onto WordPress to try it because they had said to use wordpress.org and not wordpress.com, and so I tried that, and for some reason I thought I had to download a version of it for it to work on my computer. Maybe that was how it was back then, or there was a version of it, and it just was so confusing to me, so I just abandoned that ship and I went with Blogger. And now I really do think that there's a good part of that and there's a negative part of that. So the good part of that is the whole path of least resistance. I just got in and I got started. But the bad part of that was that I then had to change over to WordPress later, which probably wasn't so bad because it was earlier on and I didn't have a lot of content. But if you're stuck in a program for a long time, then it's a lot harder to change over to WordPress. WordPress is kind of like what I would call the gold standard. It's what everyone who is serious about blogging recommends. So I think that there's a really good thing to start on the platform that you're going to stay with. So I do highly recommend starting on wordpress.org, which again is different to wordpress.com. With wordpress.org too, you own your website. So while it is difficult to start off with, it does mean that you own your website. They can't come in and shut it down or anything like that. With WordPress, you do need to have your own hosting and you purchase your own domain, but there are paid versions of wordpress.com too. And I had a friend who started her site on wordpress.com and thought it was the other, and she ended up paying like a fortune to run her site on wordpress.com, and it was actually cheaper to run it with her own hosting on .org. So I'll pop in the description box below a few hosting recommendations I do have. I highly recommend getting one that you can scale with, but anywho, that's WordPress, so I do recommend WordPress. So the next thing that Casey asked was if I had someone actually design my website for me. I didn't. So I use pre-made themes and I have been through a ton of them over time. I do think it's really good to invest in a quality theme. And that's not saying that the free themes that you get or that you can get with WordPress are bad. I just feel like I wanted something that I could have a bit more control over and go through and do things with. And the good thing about having a paid theme or a premium theme is that generally they're updated more often. So WordPress does go through updates, and when you don't update regularly, you do open yourself up to a whole heap of possible security issues. So it is important to keep them updated, and it is important that the developers keep them updated. So the first premium theme that I bought for WordPress was with StudioPress on the Genesis platform. And while I thought it was good, it didn't give me the flexibility that I really wanted, and I struggled a lot with the coding. And I felt like if you had a bit more of a tech mind, then it would probably be a lot easier. It's probably a lot easier now. It's also quite a fast platform, so that's really good too, because you want to keep in mind for site speed. So when you do look for a theme, make sure that it does have a good site speed rating, which they will advertise in the theme if it is pretty good. So after that, I used X theme, which was really good and had a lot of flexibility, but it didn't quite look the way I wanted it to, and I couldn't get it to look the way that I wanted it to. So I ended up just finding a theme that did look the way that I wanted, and then just changed a few things with that. So across my sites, I'm using, I think, 2 different themes at the moment, and I quite like the way they both look. And I'll pop in the description box below which ones I am running at the moment and on what site they're on. So you can go and check them out and see what you think and see if they are what you would like. I have been wanting to update my theme actually for a little while now, especially on Project Hot Mess, but the ad network that I use, which is Mediavine, who I absolutely love, are bringing out their own theme soon. So I'm on the hangout for that. I am waiting so much for that because I know it's going to be fast. I know it's going to be robust, and these guys are amazing. So I know it's going to be amazing, and that's called Trellis. So it is going to be really, really good. Keep an eye out for that. I'll pop you the link in below too to a Mediavine thread about that for you. Casey also asked if I took any classes for web design. I didn't. I am a bit of a, try it all myself kind of person. I have no qualms about clicking and moving things around. Just make sure you do back up your site before you do that, or use what's called a staging site, which is like a duplicate of your site that you can go in and play around with, and then push live to your main site when you're done and when you're happy with how it looks. So if you do have good hosting, they will be able to help you set up that staging site. But I never took any classes on it. I read a lot online about what should be on a website, what is good web design, and all that sort of stuff. So I just took advantage of a whole heap of free content out there, and most bloggers really do like giving that content away for free. I like talking about it all the time, and I like giving it away for free as well. So do just check out, there'll be tons of YouTube videos, there'll be tons of blog posts about what is good web design, and have a think about when you're looking at websites, what do you like? What don't you like? Which is what's difficult for you to use? What do you think is good user experience? And that's really where you get the most value from. I started my first blog a long time ago, but I didn't really know what I was doing. Back then I did the whole, I wanted to write under an alias, and I didn't really know what I was doing, and I would write all these different things. But I started blogging probably more seriously and with a goal of making it a business in November 2014. And I've had a few iterations of my blog since then. I've had a lot more blogs being added to my repertoire since then as well, but I have narrowed it all back down, and I am down to 4 blogs at the moment, and I'm about to move 2 of those over and make it all into one. So my goal is to get back down to the 2 sites, but I did start initially in November 2014. And I did start with the whole idea of turning it into a business and making money from it, which I think was a really important step at the start, because I was thinking right off the bat what I could do to monetize and to make money from my blog. Casey also asked if my blog is profitable, and I did record a video on how much money my blog made in 2019, and you can find that video right here. And I have to admit, over the years, so it's been a bit over 5 years now, my blog has gone through peaks and troughs of profitability, and mostly that's because of my own lack of focus. So I had tried a whole heap of things from the start, and I was listening to what other people were telling me, and it just wasn't what it needed to be. So once I started to get focused on what does work and what I wanted my business to look like and what I wanted to do, that's when it became far more profitable. And really when I focused on what I was good at and stopped trying to do what everyone else was telling me I should be doing. So I made a list of the ways that I have made money over the years from my blog, and I kind of put them in order a little bit of what I started with. So I started initially with affiliate income, but I never really did well with that. I never really sort of put a lot of emphasis on it. I just threw like a few links up every now and then, and I made a few $100s here and there. I also put AdSense ads on my site, which I don't recommend. I highly recommend sticking with it until you get to the Mediavine threshold, because they are amazing, and I'm going to record a video on exactly how you can get your blog to the Mediavine threshold, which is 25,000 unique sessions a month. So if that's something you want to see, hit like on this video so I know, and do hit subscribe so you do know when that does come through as well. So I then started putting sponsored posts on my site, which used to be quite a big thing, and back then I never actually sought out the sponsored posts. I got emails from people. I've never actually gone out of my way to acquire a sponsored post. It's always been from emails that have come in, and that sponsored post, so my first sponsored post, I earned $120 from, and that was kind of like this light bulb moment, like, wow, okay, I can actually really earn some good money from this. And so I had done a few other sponsored posts over the years, but I was really mindful of who I did and didn't work with, and I'd actually turned down more sponsored posts than what I said yes to, because I didn't want to be just saying yes to any sponsored post and working with anyone about any topic just for the sake of making money, because that was going to really dilute my brand and it was going to hurt my blog in the long run. So I was really mindful about who I worked with. Then after a while, my blog was taking off and people were asking me a lot about Pinterest. So I had written a few blog posts about Pinterest and about content creation and about content marketing. And so I'd started making some more money off of those. I then started to do in-person workshops. So I ran free workshops in my local town on how businesses could use internet marketing and leverage their marketing. And I also did one-on-one consulting with them, mainly around Facebook and Pinterest marketing and how they could move their businesses online and grow their businesses that way as well. So I did a lot of one-on-one consulting. I did one-on-one blog coaching as well. And then I started moving into courses, and I have created courses on how to start a blog, how to grow a blog, all that sort of stuff. I don't have any of those available anymore. They do take a lot of work to maintain and keep going, but I did run courses for a while. I've created planners, printable planners, blog planners, life planners, finance planners, all that sort of stuff, which I love and I still do. And I have also earned money from ad revenue. Now, out of all of these things, ad revenue has been my #1 income earner, and I had put it off for so long. When I look back, I am kind of kicking myself at how much money I could have earned because of the ad revenue. But I had this idea in my head that running ads on your website wasn't a good thing and it wasn't a good user experience. But what it has done is it has allowed me to focus on what I do love, create free content for people, and get paid in the process for doing it. And I love it. I think when it does come to ad revenue, it really is important to find an ad network that works with you and is focused really highly on user experience. I don't have to worry about what ads being served on my site, if they're inappropriate or anything like that, because I know that Mediavine has my back and I know that they take care of all of that for me, and they are absolutely amazing. So finding a really good ad network, there are a few different ones. I personally love Mediavine and I know a lot of people do, and so I highly recommend them. But finding an ad network, a premium ad network that works with you to make sure that your site is the best that it can be, is really important. And in doing that, you actually do earn a lot of money. And running ads on your site has this potential for huge income, and it does allow you to focus on what you like to do. So that is a really good avenue to make your blog profitable. Casey, so you mentioned that you work full-time and then you have 2 kids and a hubby, and that you're really struggling to find the time to put into your blog, and I can tell you I can completely relate. Just in this last year, for example, I have worked my job, so I do work 0.5 of roster. My husband and I job share, but we do on call. So as soon as I start my shifts, I am on call until I finish that rotation of shifts. And that can be anywhere from like 5 to 7 days at a time. So it is really taxing. I've got 2 kids of my own as well. I've got a husband, and we have also been renovating the house that we have just moved into, which, mind you, has been paid for mostly from the revenue from my blog, which has been a huge factor in us being able to actually renovate it, but it has also meant that we've had a lot of time put into the house. And so the time that I've been able to spend on my website has been a lot less, especially in this last year. But I've got a few tips up my sleeve for you to help you feel like you have a bit more time and to help you manage everything a lot better. So the first thing that I highly recommend doing is work out what your number one goal is. If profitability is a goal for you, then I highly recommend focusing really solid on getting into Mediavine, which is your 25,000 unique sessions per month, and focusing on Pinterest to help you get there. When it comes to everything else like Facebook marketing and Facebook groups and all that sort of stuff, don't stress about that yet. Focus on what you know is going to get you to Mediavine and get that income in first. And the thing I love about Mediavine is when you put those ads on your site, it kind of gives you that steady income coming in and you can sort of be freed up a bit more to focus on the other things. So work out what your goal is and be really strategic around that. So because I do have limited time to spend on my blog, the time that I have spent on it has had to pack a big punch. So I've had to make sure that I've been focused and not distracted by all the shiny objects, which is really hard for me because I am so easily distracted by shiny objects. But it has meant that I've just had to be really focused and really driven in what I want to achieve. I've also just done the hard things in order to get it done. I have gotten up at 4 a.m. regularly in order to get work done on my blog. I have stayed up till 1 a.m. some nights just to get it done. I've also used the people around me to help support as well. There are times when I have just called up my mom and said, I really need you to have the kids for a couple of hours, and she has done that, no worries at all. I schedule in time with my husband so that we know in advance who has what time to do what things need to be done. This was really important when we were renovating the house, so we would actually look at our calendar in advance because he did most of the renovating work. So we would work out what days were renovating days, what days were business days, and then we worked everything else out around that. So we made sure the time was actually scheduled in for me to get the work done. Last year, my daughter was also in daycare for 1 day a week. So that one day was my lockdown day. I didn't catch up with friends. I didn't go out for coffee. I didn't do any housework on those days. It was my lockdown business day. And that really helped knowing that I had that day as well to work on things. And other times I have literally just gone to McDonald's and let the kids run around on the playground while I used the Wi-Fi and worked, or I've gone to the local cafe, which has a playground as well, and let them run around and work. And I've just done what I can in the time that I can. There's a lot that you can get done in 5 minutes, so it's all about finding those little pockets of time and making the most of them. When you have a goal in mind, every little bit of time that you can use to work towards that goal really does make a difference. And I used to get myself caught up thinking that I needed these big blocks of time to get things done. But every time I had 5 minutes, whenever I was waiting in line for anything, or if I was waiting for my daughter to go to the toilet, I would literally just grab out my phone and pin a couple of pins on Pinterest and do my Pinterest marketing from my phone whenever I had the chance. I also use my downtime at work, so any meal breaks or any time that I had that I could use while I was at work, I took advantage of that. If you're working full time and you get half an hour or an hour meal break each day, write something on your phone if you can. If you can type a start of a blog post on a phone, take notes all the time. I use Evernote like there's no tomorrow, and anytime I have an idea for a blog post, it goes straight into there because I am not going to remember it otherwise. So anytime that you can use to leverage and to grow your business, use that time. I've seen a lot of bloggers say that they've been able to build their businesses in their kids' nap times and stuff like that. And if you have kids that nap at the same time, that's awesome, but mine never did. And my little girl's a big contact napper, so it was really hard to work around that. But I ended up just using that time the best I could. I would watch YouTube videos and read, and I would learn as much as I could in that time so that I could then go and implement it when I did have the time to work on my business. Because I have been with Mediavine for a while, I have known that I've had that income coming in. So last year, when the time that I did have for the business was really limited with the renovating and all that sort of stuff, I did actually start outsourcing some of the jobs that I needed to get done. So I do outsource the creation of my pins for Pinterest because I create a lot, and I now outsource my scheduling of Tailwind for my pins for Pinterest, which I do for just one of the Pinterest accounts that I have, and I do have a few, but I do it for my main Pinterest account, for the big bulky one that I need to keep going all the time. And so it is my goal over this year to outsource the others. But when it does come to outsourcing, it can be a really hard thing to do because you've got this profitability coming in, you've got this money coming in, but then you have to outlay that money, which means that you need to be very strategic in how you think about it and what you do do with it. So I'm not going to outlay a whole heap of money if I'm not getting the return or if I'm not going to use that time. Absolutely, I could schedule my own pins for Pinterest, and I was for a long time, but I actually looked at the time that it was taking me to do that, and I looked at what else I could be doing in that time. So if it was taking me a whole day, like 8 hours, to schedule out a month's worth of content for Pinterest on Tailwind, I thought about what I could actually do in that time. And this is what I was saying about leveraging what you're good at. And what I'm good at is writing, and I can write well, I can write fast. So I needed to use that time to create the blog posts to then be able to schedule out the Pinterest. And so I used that time for my writing, and I outsourced the actual creation and the scheduling of the pins for Pinterest. And it has been great ever since. As for online courses, I have taken a few over the years, and I do think that there are some courses that do offer a lot of value. There are a lot of courses available, so you really do have to be mindful of where you spend your money. If you're investing thousands of dollars into a course, then you need to make sure that you are going to get the ROI for it. And for a lot of people, investing the money in a course means that they have a bit of skin in the game, so they're actually going to do the work. For me, there's probably not one single course that I have done that I have said, bam, that's the course. That's where I've gotten all of my information from. That has given me the ROI. Generally, instead of taking a complete blogging course, I will take courses on very specific topics. So if I want to learn about emails, then I'll take a course on emails. If I want to learn about Pinterest marketing, then I'll take a course on Pinterest marketing. And I've found that to be a far better way than to go and get a general overview course. There is so much information out there that you can get for free from YouTube, from Pinterest and blogs and all that sort of stuff, or simply reaching out and asking. Casey, you've done exactly that. You've reached out and you've asked me these questions, and I am more than happy to answer any questions about blogging, and more than likely I'll turn it into a video. So if you do have any questions, or if anyone out there has any questions, please feel free, comment below, email me, ask me any questions that you want. I seriously love talking about this stuff. In case you haven't noticed, I've actually been recording for quite a while, and this is going to be a very long video. So if you're still here, thank you so much for sticking around. I just love talking about blogging, and I will talk about it all day. So ask me any questions about it. I'm more than happy to give you information. I can turn it into a blog post, I can turn it into a video, and if I don't know the answer, I will either find out for you or I will point you in the right direction. So I'm not actually going to give any recommendations for courses because, like I said, I don't feel like I have found any that I am like, absolutely everyone needs to take this course. I think you should find something that works for you, and do make sure you go and read reviews of the courses, and try and read reviews that aren't just from people who are affiliates for that course. There are a lot of blogging courses out there that charge a lot of money and therefore give a lot of money to their affiliates, and they are heavily promoted, and they do get a massive return anytime someone signs up through them. So that I feel like that's a little bit skewed. Do make sure that you find a course that does have good recommendations and good reviews, but also make sure that they have a few like negative ones as well, because I'm always mindful of courses that only have positive reviews. And I think that if someone's really honest about it, they will be able to find something in there that they didn't particularly like. And that's not a bad thing. It just means that not every course is for everyone. But what I will do is I will pop some links in the description box below of bloggers that I think you should go and check out, because they are doing amazing things in the blogging world or in the online world. So I'll pop a whole heap of links below of who I follow and who I recommend and who I absolutely adore. So go and check those ones out. Okay, so this video is blown out to be super long, and I really appreciate you being here with me throughout it. I am going to be doing a lot more blogging content over the next few months because I love talking about it and you guys seem to like it. So if you do have any questions, like I said, please let me know in the comments below. Hit like if you enjoyed this video, and hit the notifications button so you are notified of any new videos that I post on here. I really appreciate you being here, and I will see you in the next video. It's really hot now. That was a long video. I need a burger.